Matt Joseph easily took the 2020 college football crown at Sports Memo, picking up plus 71% in profit for his clients, winning 62% of his college selections with the final record of 98, 59, and 3. For unlimited time, you can get the first 4 college football weekends starting on Saturday, August 28th, 2021, and running through Saturday, September 25th, 2021, for only $149 versus a regular price of $330. As an added bonus, we'll include any NFL side, total, or prop plays Matt releases during this time at no additional charge.
Welcome in to First Pitch for Friday, July 30th. I am Drew Martin, your host, joined by Dave Cokin and Tony Finn of WagerTalk.com. We're breaking down 4 games. We got best bets at the end, trade deadline thoughts as well. First up here, Dave Cokin, number 1 handicapper at WagerTalk for 2021. Welcome in. Happy Friday to you, Dave.
Yeah, it is a happy Friday because I like the trade deadline as a fan at Major League Baseball, as a fan and an analyst. Not so much as a bettor. I will be playing it close to the vest tonight. I played a couple of totals, and that's it. I played 1 total yesterday and won that. And I will stick with that strategy tonight on a couple of games that I think look pretty good. So as far as selections goes, not a lot. But hopefully we'll get there with those 2. And plenty to talk about as far as the deadline goes, because we have several players that are going to get moved between now and the end of the day. And it's going to be a fun few hours.
Absolutely, Dave. And a good show here, guys, for the next 30 or so minutes, talking about most of these games having some changes here due to the trade deadline. And of course, Dave, quality over always better than quantity in this business. And a guy that knows that as well, Tony Finn, Tony Slick Finn from WagerTalk.com. Happy Friday to you, buddy.
To Dave and you and see if I still like them at the end of the show.
Yep, sounds good. That's
some
what
of
this
the
show
guys
is here for, guys.
Just going to mention some of the guys that are still to be dealt. Chris Bryant and Trevor Story would be the 2 position players who are on the market. Now, whether they get dealt or not, we'll have to wait and see. But they are certainly out there. And looks like 3 relief pitchers. And one of these ties into a game that I think is meaningful. Craig Kimbrell looks like the hot commodity in the bullpen. Ian Kennedy from the Rangers. And the Angels, it now is apparent the Angels are going to sell because John Heyman, who to me is as good as anybody to follow as far as this stuff is concerned, he has stated Angels have made Raisel Iglesias available. And that's pretty big because I think there was some question as to whether the Angels would be buyers or sellers at the deadline. They're a little over 500, or right at 500 basically. And so not out of it, but not really in it. And Trout coming back, thoughts that, well, maybe they'll go after something. But instead, the fact that they've apparently made Iglesias available certainly would indicate that they are not buying, they are selling. And that might impact your thought process as far as the Angels go for tonight and this weekend.
Sure. Also, probably not good news about Trout's injury status either, I would guess. But heck, that's something we can get in game number 3 that we're talking about today. Huge shout out to the chat box. We got Daniel in the house, Buck, Damon, Tobias, Paco Healy saying he'll be slugging beers at Petco tonight. So let's get some money, guys. Let's get after this game. We got Dave Cokin up first here, guys. Kansas City Royals, Toronto Blue Jays, first game up, Dave. Minus 215 here. Toronto Blue Jays, 10.5 being the total. We get Lynch versus Stripling here, Dave. And a big reason I wanted to talk about this one, Toronto heading back north of the border here, playing their first game in Toronto in, I believe, 2 years, Dave. How do you think that factors in tonight's game north of the border?
lot going on with the Blue Jays because they have, despite the fact that they're not in exactly great position to make the playoffs, they're going for it. There's no question they're going for it. They have traded today to get Barrios, which is a big pickup. And they'd already made a couple of moves. So they're and apparently they're going after other guys as well. So who knows what they're going to do between now and the end of the day. Tonight's matchup, though, I think you might. I like the dog in this game. First of all, yeah, it's going to be exciting in Toronto tonight, but it's not going to be a packed house because of the restrictions, and they haven't played there. So despite the fact that they're in their real home field for the first time. They haven't played a game there since 2019. They didn't play there last year. They played in Buffalo last season. So I don't know if the normal surroundings, the advantage that you'd have, play into this as much. Daniel Lynch is on the mound for Kansas City. He's one of their top prospects, and he had really struggled in his first few major league appearances. And in fact, going back to spring training, he'd gotten knocked around. But last time out, pitched a heck of a game. Now he's facing a better lineup, but he did throw 8 shutout innings in his last start. So you'd think Lynch will have some confidence here. Ross Stripling, okay. We'll see where Stripling fits in this Toronto rotation. He could be the guy who gets bumped with Barrios coming in, so he might be headed to the bullpen after this start. I don't know how well that sits with him. I think the price is too inflated here. The Royals have actually played pretty good ball lately. They're on a nice run. And to me, if you're looking for a value gamble on tonight's board, I think it's the Royals at plus 180. I might make a small play on them. If I do, it'll be like a 2% play. But I'm definitely toying with the idea, and I'm going to watch the line to see what happens. If it goes any higher, I think I might take a piece of the Royals here.
All right, maybe a stab on the dog north of the border. I like it, Dave. And Robert, behind the scenes, I guess we got some guys in the chat box saying Tony was muted, so maybe we could get that fixed. But Tony, coming to you next. In terms of this game, I read an article here. Toronto is 39-30 in Florida and Buffalo over the last 2 years, plus 66 run differential. So they actually played well. Doing this kind of quasi, where is their home, Buffalo and Florida. So to Dave's point here, I'm not so sure that it's that big of an advantage being back in the Rogers Center for his reasoning as well. They haven't been there in 2 years. But Tony, interested in your thoughts here, Royals and Blue Jays.
Well, I agree with Dave on several sides of this. First off, moving or returning back to Toronto. For the Royals, I would think this would be, for the most part, just another road game. For Toronto, while it may just be another road game, because, again, as Dave mentioned, they haven't played there since 2019, the end of 2019. There are some restrictions in Canada that are a little different than what players are going to go through here in America. They've been very, very they've been pretty strict in Canada's the borders, et cetera, et cetera. But in this game, if someone has a disadvantage as far as park goes, I wouldn't argue that if you told me that Kansas City might have the advantage here. Pardon me. I would not argue with you. Pardon me. As far as pitching goes, Lynch was miserable. His first 3 starts brought him up early in the season in May. 3-0, I think 15 ERA. He couldn't get anybody out. He couldn't throw the ball over. It was a tough period. They brought him back after the break. He pitched great, as Dave said, 8 innings. 8 innings, shutout ball, 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, no walks. Stripling, I was high on Stripling. I was one of those guys that said don't overreact because of Stripling's April. It was bad. After that, he rebounded nicely, pitched well, except recently he got bounced hard by Tampa Bay. His last start, is a nice little bounce back against the Mets. But I'm telling you, Stripling's a guy that you have to be careful with. I think you really do have to be careful with. He might be a streaming guy if you're a gamer or a fantasy guy and play that way. But today, if I'm on this game, and I'm not, I would agree with Dave. I'd be on Kansas City plus the plus money. It's just too good to pass up.
I want to throw in one quick note. Not like the Royals are adding anything at the deadline for obvious reasons. They're not a contender. But they're not dumping either, which I think is a positive sign for the team. Whit Merrifield is the guy on that team, and he would bring a big haul because he can play several positions. And, he's stolen base threat. The guy's a good hitter. He's not going anywhere from all appearances. So that sends a message to the Royals, to the players, that, look, we're not going to win now, but we like what we have here, and we're going to keep the nucleus of this team together and hope to contend next year. That's something to bear in mind when looking at the Royals the rest of the season. A lot of these teams that have waved the white flag, like the Nationals, for instance, I think you might be looking for spots to go against them because they're just playing out the string at this point. They have tossed in the towel. The Royals didn't. They're not going to win anything this season, but they kept the team together. Soler's still there. Merrifield's still there. Santana's still there. So the nucleus of this team is staying together unless something changes between now and the end of the day. And I think that's something to bear in mind when looking at the Royals the rest of the way.
Yeah, good points there, Dave.
Yeah.
The chat box chiming in here. Damon, Nathan saying that
Hi, honey, I'm taping
it's a
right
spot
now.
here for the Royals. Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was going to say Dave's right. The only player that they sent away or got something for was Duffy. And if you look at Duffy's surface numbers, guys, those surface numbers are a bit of a mirage. Dave will tell you the same thing. He's not who he was in 15, 16 when the Royals were in the series and very competitive. So that they got something for Duffy, I think, was probably another sign that Dave's right. They want to build, they want to sell, and they want to basically get back more than what they're giving away, and I think they did.
I think that the point to be made is they feel they're not that far away from being a contender again. They've got some really good young players and some talent on the way up in the system. One of the guys they like is Lynch, and I know he hasn't shown a great deal so far, but they think he's going to be a solid rotation piece for years to come. So I like the fact that, unlike some other teams that are out of it, the Royals are not just peddling everything away. They feel their rebuild is already in place. That's good.
Absolutely. KC playing well, and Professor Chris in the chat box saying, flat spot possibly here for the Blue Jays in their first game home in quite a while. Man, that's an understatement. It's been since 2019 since they played in their
I don't think
here, guys.
No, I wouldn't agree. It's not a flat spot, okay? I mean, they're going to be very excited to be playing in front of their actual fans again. So I think that's completely erroneous. What I'm suggesting is I think the advantage that is there is just being input too much into the line. They shouldn't be this big a favorite with Stripling on the mound. If the line was $1.80, I'd say, okay, well, that's about right. But $2.15, $2.20, that to me is an overinflation. So I think it creates some value, but it's not a flat spot for the Blue Jays.
Okay, and
I mean, not for nothing, but I mean, you're talking about a team that, first of all, they're going home for the first time in ages. Secondly, they're buying right now. They're adding to their team. So what's there already is going to be really excited about that. They're coming off a great win against the Red Sox where they just beat the crap out of them last night. It is absolutely not a flat spot for Toronto, okay?
All right, Dave. Good stuff here, guys. We're going to stay in the AL East, head to the second game here, talk about number 1 and number 2 in the division. A good one here, Tony. We get Perez versus Fleming in the Boston Red Sox, heading down to what Red Sox fans would consider Fenway of the South here. Fleming going for the Rays, minus 130, the Rays at home, total of 9 in the Trop. You liking anything here, Tony? Red Sox and Rays.
Well, I like talking about it. I don't know if I like anything here, but I sure enjoy talking about Alex Cora, who I really like. I like Alex, and the pitchers tonight are neither one are pitching. Neither one are going to be prime time ESPN. They're not going to move programming for Perez or Fleming, but that's not the point. Here's the point: Cora's been saying probably since the end of June. Every time he gets in front of the media, he says, listen, we're just trying to win the series. They're not trying to win 20 in a row. They're trying to win a series. He knows that if he can win each and every series, that at the end of the season, there's at the end of September, there's a good chance that they're still in first place. I'm one of those that believe that they've outpitched their peripherals, or at least their skill set and their salary for the most part so far. But I trust Alex Cora to do everything he can to keep this going. Tonight, Perez, I'm a fader of Perez. First off, I may not be the best to talk about this because I never like Perez a whole lot, and I never thought he was worth the money you're going to have to lay to support him. Part of that's being with Boston. That's just part of the game. And Fleming, for the most part, he made his first start since June 19th, and that last one, and it really didn't go well. In truth, it really went well. He 3 scoreless innings, then came the 4th, and by the time that was over, he'd been charged with 6 runs. They even kept him out there. He went to the 5th. He gave up another run. He got another out. They yanked him. And he made 6 appearances, 3 starts, and 3 out of the bullpen since the beginning of June. In those starts, guys, 17 earned runs, 17 innings pitched, 25 hits, 3 walks, only 8 strikeouts. Out of the pen, 1 run, 2 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 11. If there's going to be a guy that goes to the pen, or should go to the pen, in my opinion, it's Fleming. The problem is, then all you do is you create a game where Fleming is again one of the guys in that bullpen game. So that's the weak spot for Tampa right now, and that is the times that they can't rely on a guy to go 5 or 6 innings. And at this time of the year, you need that. This is a game I'm passing on tonight. However, if I'm going to count on somebody to rely on their pitcher and make the right moves, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to trust Core to do it. I'm just not going to lay that money.
You know, Dave, this is a fascinating handicap to me. I mean, we get the Rays, the number 1 in the American League in terms of run suppression, only giving up 409 runs year to date. That's number 1. But the fact they just dealt Castillo, to Tony's point here, Fleming, I mean, I look at that as, heck, just let him be the leadoff bullpen guys. The first sign of trouble, get him out of there and go to your number 1 or number 2 ranked bullpen in all of MLB. I'm looking to bet on Tampa here, especially with Nelson Cruz in the lineup. But the fact that Tony brings that up, I mean, Boston, good on the road. I find this a fascinating game to handicap. What are you thinking tonight in the Trop?
Yeah, look, Perez has been really bad at Fenway. He hasn't been that bad on the road. Fleming, actually, I was surprised when I looked at this. He's got a 451 OPS at home. Is that right? It's hard to believe, but apparently so. So he's pitched well in this ballpark. I don't know what to make of the game. The Rays might have a different lineup by the time the game starts, because it looks like they're still involved in trying to deal for some players. They're definitely in go-for-it mode. The Red Sox traded for Kyle Schwarber. Of course, he's hurt right now, but that's a nice pickup for them. I give a slight pitching edge to Tampa, but it's not anything I'd bet on. This is going to be a good series. Big series for both teams. And the Rays gained a game yesterday by slamming the Yankees while the Red Sox were losing. So it's real close as these teams head into this series. I think the line's about right. I can't give you a winner or a loser here. You might see some runs, but there's no bet for me in this game. By the way, left out one guy who might be the best piece available right now at the deadline. Byron Buxton is on the market, and I'm going to just go ahead and make a prediction. I think the Phillies haven't really gotten involved too much yet, but Dombrowski's been a guy who, at the deadline, he's been active over the years, to put it, and center field's a perfect fit there. I think the Phillies are the team that's going to make the big push for Buxton. We'll wait and see.
We will wait and see. And shout out to Matt in the chat box saying, best show in sports. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. We appreciate you watching, Matt, and we appreciate everybody in the chat box chiming in, guys. Feel free to fire away in there. Feel free, if you're watching on replay, to drop a line below on YouTube, the Wager Talk YouTube. This is Wager Talk First Pitch here. We're breaking down the games each and every day, Monday through Friday at 1:45 Eastern time. We got 2 games left. Best bets at the end. Next game up here, Dave, we get Oakland and LA, the Angels here. Chris Bassett versus Sandoval for the Angels. We're seeing minus 130 down to as low as minus 112. Looking at the Wager Talk odds screen right now, Dave. 8.5 being the total. Looks like 76 degrees. Wind blowing out towards center field. 9:40 Eastern. What are you liking tonight? A's and Angels tonight, Dave.
Well, lots to talk about in this game. Let's first talk about the Angels and Patrick Sandoval, who I know this will be redundant for those who've listened to the show or watched the show. I like this guy a lot. He's got a great changeup. I mean, a game-changing changeup. It's a true swing and miss pitch. And when he's working his fastball and he's got his command with that pitch, his other stuff becomes almost unhittable. And he's coming off a game where he was unhittable, a near no-hitter for Sandoval in his last start. He was absolutely brilliant. Threw a lot of pitches in the game, but they weren't high-stress pitches. So I don't think he's going to be worn down from that. However, there is always a potential of a bounce factor off a near no-hitter because it's a bit of a letdown. Nevertheless, Sandoval's numbers right now are really good. I mean, over the past month, he's got a 493 OPS, which is outstanding. He's in great form, better form than Bassett, who's been kind of ordinary lately. Bassett on the season has good numbers, but has not been quite as sharp lately. So I think from that standpoint, the opening line favored the Angels here in terms of value. That has dissipated somewhat because the line's been bet down. But what worries me here is what's the Angels clubhouse attitude going to be? Because the fact that it appears they're going to deal Raisel Iglesias, that to me is a signal to the team that we're not going to be in this year. We're just going to play it out and try and do better next year. To me, that's not a positive. And Oakland, in the meantime, is adding. Now, I don't know if Marte will be in the lineup tonight, but certainly that's a plus for that team. And who knows, they might do something else between now and the end of the day. I don't think the A's are necessarily done dealing right now. So I have doubts about the Angels' attitude tonight. I think this could be a little bit of a downer for the team. And I'm not wild about backing Sandoval off the near no-hitter. So I'm going to stay out of the game. I don't want to go against Sandoval. He's just pitching too well to fade right now. But that did lessen my enthusiasm for the Angels.
Yeah, Tony, Dave, that was a tough follow there, Tony. But I mean, to Dave's point, is Marte in the lineup? Because that's going to be a big help against the lefty here in Sandoval. The Angels, to his point, how's that clubhouse? 51 and 51. They're right at 500. They're kind of within punching distance, I would call it, Tony, in a big market there in Southern California. I'm surprised that they'd be selling. So I think that has a big outcome on the game as well, Tony. What are your thoughts here?
This was my best bet for the show, this game here. And as I said, and I told Dave, I'm going to rethink it a little bit if they're going to sell, because I was under the impression they weren't going to sell. That they were 4.5. Well, now there's 6 games. I think the 6 games out of the wild card spot. Not that that's insurmountable with 2 months of baseball left. However, there's teams to go through. That being Toronto, the Yankees, Seattle, all these teams that are capable. Some playing better than they probably should, and some playing worse than they probably should. But Dave's right about one thing very important, and for those who do self-handicapping, and that is, as tough as it is sometimes to make sure that you're on the right side, period, that your lineup is accurate, who you believe is going to be in the lineup, who's not in the lineup. Today is one of those big days. Then the trade deadline ends, right? Well, it really doesn't end, because then you have to figure out the next week who's going to be in the lineup of those who traded. So there's still a lot of work to be done. And maybe most important is, how is the clubhouse? Is there animosity in the clubhouse, as Dave mentioned? That's things that sometimes, unless you do a lot of research, unless you have some sources that are beat writers maybe inside that have their arms wrapped around a team and just can tell by the posture of a player, it's something else you're going to have to figure out. It really is. In this game, he's absolutely spot on with Sandoval. Sandoval's one of my favorites. This is a guy that, about a month ago when he came up, when he kind of broke in and made some news, and Dave will remember this, at that time, he had set the record for most swings and misses in a game, in a 9-inning period, or in a start. Unbelievable, that changeup, and that's the most important pitch in baseball, in my opinion. It's not the 100-mile-an-hour fastball. If you can throw a changeup and do it well, you're going to be successful if you're throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So that said, I'm going to say one last thing that I think I've said it on the show before, and people have disagreed. But I've never understood the fascination with Bassett. This is a guy who is is a back-end starter, truthfully. He doesn't miss that many bats, mediocre ground ball rate. The swinging strike rate has never been 10% for a season. Not 10%. So it doesn't make him elite, that's for certain. His lowest xFIP of his career was last year, and that 60-game sprint. It was 4.49. A guy that's underappreciated in many circles, meaning he's going to give you some innings, he's going to keep you in the game mostly, but he's nothing that where he goes on the road sometimes against some of these lesser teams that are pitching their best pitcher, and Oakland's a substantial favorite. I agree. Listen, I'm on the Angels as a dog here in this game, and I kind of gave away the free pick and why I am. But much of it Dave brings up, I'd like to know the attitude in this Angels locker room. It means a lot to me when I'm pushing money across the counter and asking you to do the same.
Yeah, good points there, guys. All across the board. Tony Finn, Dave Cokin bringing the heat, talking about following beat writers, things of that nature. That's big in football handicapping. We got college football right around the corner. That's something I always concentrate in doing. How is, the locker room? We're seeing it here in MLB as well at the trade deadline. Over 300 people watching. We really appreciate it on this Friday. Guys, again, a reminder, first pitch Monday through Friday, 1:45 Eastern time, right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel, Twitter as well. Please smash that like button, the thumbs up sign if you're liking the content. We got one game left, the nightcap and best bets at the end. We'll get after it here, Tony. Talk about number 1 and number 2. We did it in the AL East. Now we're doing it in all of MLB. The best and the second best team in terms of win percentage. We're getting the Houston Astros and the San Francisco Giants here, Tony. Valdez versus Gausman. Minus $1.25 now is what we're seeing. The Giants at home. 7.5 being the total. We got a possible World Series preview here, Tony, in the nightcap. You like it? Anything Astros and Giants tonight?
Well, when the schedule, yesterday when I looked at this, I said, I've got to look at this. I like this game. I like this matchup. In my power rankings, I have the Astros as the number 1 team, especially after the move they made to bolster that bullpen. Not only a brave move, brazen mood. I mean, nothing like trading for the closer that just when it came in the 8th inning, the night before, the day before, holds their team in the game. They're down 1, and they come back and score 4, and they win by 3. And listen, that's a pretty emotional thing, not only for Gausman. I mean, not only for Seattle, but in this situation right here, Houston, Valdez been pretty good. Now, he hasn't been real good lately. And in truth, we can say the same thing about Gausman. He's one of the most dominant pitchers in the majors in the first half this year. He hasn't looked anything like that same guy returning from the All-Star break. He was charged with, I think, a season-high 6 on 8 hits, and the Giants dropped the 2nd straight to the Pirates. This isn't supposed to happen coming out of the break. It isn't supposed to happen with a team that has been downplayed or being accused of playing the role of overachiever all for the first half of the season. San Francisco, Gausman's in a tough matchup here. If he's not as good, if something's wrong, if he's not as sharp as he's been in the first half, if he can't bounce back from what he's shown us since the All-Star break has resumed, then the team that makes the most contact in baseball, the Houston Astros, strikes out less than any team in baseball, the Houston Astros in that lineup, are in a good spot. I'm not on this game, can't be on this game, but I'm sure anxious to hear what Dave has to say because I think this is a toss-up. It's a coin flip.
Dave, have at it. What are you liking tonight in San Francisco?
Well, just drop this in the meantime. It looks like the White Sox have won the Craig Kimbrell sweepstakes. Deal's not official yet, but it looks like the White Sox. And from a personnel standpoint, that's great. I mean, their bullpen is just ridiculous now. But I wonder about the impact this will have on Liam Hendricks. Yeah. He just lost his closer's role. He just became the setup guy. This guy's been one of the best relievers in baseball the last 2 years. And you just say, you know what? We're going to bump you to the 8th inning. I don't know about this. Sometimes adding can be a subtraction as well.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be the negative here. I know on Twitter right now, it's like, oh, this is one of the best bullpens ever now. Yeah, on paper it is. But boy, I got to tell you, I don't like the move. I think this could be something that disturbs the clubhouse. Hendricks is very well liked by that team, and he's been great. And he just lost his closer's role because Kimbrell won't go anywhere if he's not pitching the 9th inning. Kimbrell ain't going there to set up. We'll see how that plays out. As far as this game goes, Kevin Gausman has been money in the bank. He has not been as sharp lately, but Valdez hasn't been all that sharp either. Gausman's numbers at home are really good. And this Giants team just continues to play with a big chip on its shoulder. I mean, everybody's talking about the Padres and Dodgers now. Dodgers adding all kinds of stuff at the deadline, looking like they're an unbeatable team right now. Padres were certainly in on Scherzer. Looks like they finished second best, but they're making all kinds of moves. And the Giants just sitting there and going, we're in first place. You two teams, if we hold our position, you guys are going to knock each other off. One of you is going to be gone in the Survivor game. I like this Giants team's attitude. I think they've got a better pitcher on the mound right now. The Astros certainly have helped themselves this week in the bullpen. There, the additions, nobody's ego is going to get hurt there. And the additions are definitely good for that team because their weak spot was the bullpen. And they're a dangerous team. But I lean to the Giants here with Gossman. Sorry I had more to say on the White Sox deal than this ball game, but I'm not playing this game. So, and I'm not playing much tonight. This is a day where I kind of sit back and digest all the info. So I'll give you a lean on the Giants. I'm not hearing anything.
Me either, Dave. Chris, here we go.
Okay.
All right, guys. Sorry about that. A little internet trouble here, but we got best bets, I believe, here at the end, and Dave and Tony, hopefully okay. But Dave, if you're still there and we're still ready to rock, man, I'll just throw it over to you if you want to start us off with best bets. Okay.
Yeah. Look, it's a gamble, okay, and it's strictly a value gamble, and it's not on my card. If you want what's on my card, all I played was 2 totals tonight. They're just threes. They're not big plays. You can get them right now at WagerTalk.com, WT.buzz/DC. If you're looking for big plays, go with somebody else tonight because I don't have anything. And this is just kind of a have fun with it. You know, if you're betting maybe a half unit, Royals at a big price, only on the value, because I think the Blue Jays are going to be very excited about this game. But that price is too high with Stripling going against a team that's playing pretty good ball themselves right now. So I'll go with the Royals at like plus 180 for the first 5. I don't want their bullpen under any circumstances. Royals first 5 plus 180 for the best bet here on the show.
All right, good stuff. Professor in the house saying we're back in business. Yes, we are. I'm going to, guys, best bet, Houston and San Francisco, possible World Series preview here. And I like the Astros. We get them at a plus price here. It's number 1 and number 2, and we get the number 1 lineup in MLB versus righties, 2 top 10 bullpens. I think wrong team is favored here with the Astros. Hot lineup in San Francisco, medium at best. So I'm on the Astros plus price. Tony, where are you going for best bets?
Well, I'm going to stay with I'm just going to stay with what I planned on doing. That was L.A. and the Angels and Sandoval. And as Dave outlined too, Sandoval, he took a no-no into the 9th inning, gave up a 1-out double to Brent Rooker, falling just a couple outs shy of the franchise's 12th no-hitter. Now, Sandoval was immediately removed after he gave up the hit. And a guy who supposedly now is on the market, Dave's basically breaking news to us and that's Iglesias. So he came in, he gave up a hit actually, which was the run, credited to obviously to Sandoval. Donaldson had an RBI double. Then he struck out Sano, and that was the end of the game. Sandoval has had the losses he's had this year. Most of them been tough luck losses. He's struck out as many as 14 in a game over 2 starts. There were short starts. His changeup is one of the best in baseball. As Dave, it's over 5%. His usage is up 5% on his changeup this year. It's an indication of how much he trusts that pitch, and it's getting a 55% swing and miss rate. Again, plus money, LA at home against, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, a pedestrian pitcher in Bassett in Oakland. And Oakland's struggling to hit the baseball. Angels, Sandoval, plus 115 is what I got. That's my best bet.
All right, guys. And in recap for best bets here, I'm on the Astros plus 115. We get Tony Finn, Angels plus 115, and Dave Cokin with the threesome of underdogs here, and the biggest one, Royals first 5 plus 165. So hopefully we go 2-1, if not 3-0 on these best bets. For Tony Finn, Dave Cokin, I am Drew Martin. Thanks for tuning in, everyone out there. 350 people watching on YouTube alone. We really appreciate it. Please smash that like button on your way out. Have a fun, safe weekend. We'll talk on Monday. Best of luck with your bets until then. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay.
Tuesdays is known as $2 Tuesdays at WagerTalk.com and
See
SportsMemo.com, where you can get the hottest handicappers' best bet or daily package for only $2.